Now we can move on to the ceremony award of Vision for Europe. The Vision for Europe that is being awarded on the Prague European Summit since 2016 is an annually bestowed award for distinguished personalities who have, over the course of their lives, devoted substantial efforts to the establishment and development of European ideals, such as strengthening peaceful cooperation among European nations, developing a fair institutional arrangement of European integration, making European integration more accessible to European publics, and overcoming prejudices and misconceptions related to the integration process. Amongst the laureates of the prize, we've had Ms. Federica Mogherini, that was awarded last year, the year before that, Mikuláš Dzurinda, Emily O'Reilly, Professor Timothy Garton Ash, Professor Wolfgang Theodor Wessels, and before the award was being awarded at the Prague European Summit, the laureates are very well-known names of big European personalities such as Helmut Kohl, Jean-Claude Juncker, or the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. And because the award is being presented by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic, it is my pleasure to once again welcome on the stage the Deputy Minister for Europe, Mr. Aleš Chmelař, who will have a short speech about the award. Mr. Chmelař, my pleasure, the floor is yours.
So, thank you very much. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, it is a great honor for me to be able to present before you a speech at the occasion of awarding the Vision for Europe Prize at the Prague European Summit. I think that this occasion is exceptional for two reasons. The first one is that we have never awarded the prize to a president of a country which holds the presidency. And you've heard him today, and I think that you have also seen why this prize is well targeted in this respect. I also wanted to flag, and that's the second reason, that Mr. Pahor was not able to be here, but we did not want to change actually the program, and we still wanted to take some time and a reflection on the prize itself and on the personality of President Pahor. So again, warm welcome to all of you at this special and solemn occasion. There is also a saying, by the way, that a person should not stay between a crowd and a reception or a lunch or a dinner, so I will try to be short. This event's objective is to focus, as you know, on the EU and its policies from Central Europe's perspective, but not only from Central Europe's perspective. It aims at providing space for future young leaders to generate ideas. They also learn from more experienced politicians with managerial expertise. We have policymakers, we have experts, we have academicians that meet here and that exchange ideas. This year, in order to emphasize this feature, the summit was linked very tightly with the future European Leaders Forum, which was official part also of the Conference on the Future of Europe of the Czech procedure in this conference. In addition, as many of you know, it has become a tradition that the Prague European Summit chooses every single year, and it was well described, a personality to whom it bestows a Vision for Europe award. Those two things are closely intertwined this year, the youth dimension and the prize. Mr. President Pahor took up this challenge to shape the European vision with the young leaders today, and he had a very interesting discussion with them today. All this in the framework of the Conference of the Future of Europe, where the results will be reflected also in the overall European process. And I can say who else could have done it better than a Slovenian president, whose country currently holds the EU presidency, and also a president who himself began his political career at a very young age. I also wanted to somehow underline that Slovenia and its conviction of for European intervention is very remarkable. You certainly know that Slovenia was the first country to exceed the Eurozone from the Central and Eastern Europe and somehow set an agenda. And it was, I think, a very important point in the direction of the country and of the region per se. I also personally value many interesting European personalities for their European visions, and let me talk now today specifically about Borut Pahor. I do regret, as I said, that Mr. President was not able to make it tonight to celebrate this special moment, but still I'm honored to say a few words in his absence. I see here Madame Tanya Stanisha, and I will kindly ask her also to convey this laudation to Mr. President as an ambassador of Slovenia here in Prague. Minister this morning spoke about the principle he admires about his approach this morning when he bestowed the award upon him. The principle is based on paying attention to one's surroundings, on caring about one's neighborhood. It is about forging friendships, alliances, and making concessions, building coalitions. Those are, in my view, also some of Mr. Pahor's qualities that allowed him to remain in active politics for so long. Politics and statesmanship, indeed, in his vision, is a service to citizens of his country and of Europe. This is also a lesson how one can survive for a long time in politics. Not to take one's own ego, but really to take politics as a service to citizens. The, I would say, unbelievable mix of political positions he has occupied during his life made out of him not only an experienced Slovenian politician, but also a strong European personality. You may know that Mr. President was awarded Order of White Lion by the Czech President Miloš Zeman in 2017. It is the highest and most prestigious Czech order, but it is a Czech order. It is, in a way, a bilateral order. So now, today, Mr. Pahor received a prize also for his contribution to the European integration. But this bilateral reward, let's say, the White Lion, demonstrates that we could really speak for a long about Mr. Pahor's accomplishments also for the Czech-Slovenian relationship. But let me just very briefly mention 2 points on his European agenda and his European curriculum. Throughout his political career, President Pahor has remained a staunch believer in ever closer union, a union which is united, free, and, of course, in peace. So he sees also, and he has made it quite clear today, the future of Europe in a more closely integrated Europe, competitive in the global market and better equipped for coping with global challenges. To achieve this goal, he believes that Europe needs to define its long-term vision, which can only be done through a broader debate. This conference on the future of EU is certainly one of the occasions, but it will not be the last one, and it will be and is not the only one. It is a process that is much longer, and Mr. President's convictions, which I dare to say and call with the F word, as it is called in Brussels, so close to a certain federalist vision, will take time to take place, and certainly will go through a lot of controversies. But the vision itself, and it is impossible not to quote Helmut Schmidt in this respect, a vision itself is not sufficient. And as Helmut Schmidt has put it, who has vision should see a doctor. In a way, this quote pronounced by somebody who was the biggest visionary, or one of the biggest visionaries of European integration and of statesmanship in Europe, but yet vision is not something that you do today, that you do tomorrow, but that you work throughout your career and your lives to somehow discuss with citizens. So today's event, this year's conference on the future of Europe, is not the only occasion. It will continue, and Europe's future will be discussed also in the future. So let us not focus only on the next months until March or April next year, when the conference will somehow formally conclude, but let us really be somehow trustful to the European vision, which I hope that the Prague European Summit somehow contributes to. So that was the first, the European vision, and a very specific, I think, future-looking aspect of Mr. Pahor's life. Very specific and concrete step that he did throughout his career, and it regarded the EU's neighborhood, which Slovenia is, of course, very much concerned with as having a border with, until 2013, a non-EU member and being part of Yugoslavia after the Second World War. So as regards the EU's neighborhood, I need to mention that President Pahor was tirelessly supporting the Western Balkan countries, the reconciliation efforts, and also he made his engagement in the enlargement process quite clear. What has come with it was an initiative that is still taking place and that has still results every year, which was the Brdo-Briuni process, and he was one of the two initiators of this process. This forum has even preceded the famous Berlin process launched by Angela Merkel a year later, which is now also will be going through important steps, as one of the members of the Berlin process is not a member of the EU anymore. And as you know, as Czechia has always been very much a strong supporter of the smooth accession of the Western Balkan countries in the EU, we want by this prize, by this award, to deeply value Mr. Pahor's long-term positions and assistance to his Western Balkan neighbors. We know how difficult it is not to be perceived as a, let's say, mentor and to be accepted as a guide, as a leader. And I believe that Mr. President managed to gain the trust of the Western Balkan leaders in this respect. He was a genuine moderator, he was an honest broker, and I think he fulfilled very much this position, and he has also a lot to fulfill in the future. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, I will stop here. As I said, I do not want to stand between a crowd and a glass of wine. So let me now virtually toast to Mr. President Pahor and his accomplishments, to stronger Europe, to open minds, and without open minds and healthy ideas and visions may never come. So thank you for your attention, and I wish you still a nice evening and a good summit day tomorrow.